Let's talk about the staff. So the first thing I want to bring up is if you don't have something as long as this, that's fine. You can always use something like this. And you just pretend like you've got Darth Maul's staff and you got lightsabers that go off each side, right? Sorry about that. You might want to have a doctor take a look at that. Anyway, as far as selecting the staff itself, what you want is something that is going to be going from either standing next to you up to the height of your ear, all the way up to, if you put your hand on the top of your head and extend your fingers up, it should go to the tip of your fingers. If it goes to the top of the ear, this is a traditional thing. If this was a staff and I wanted to lash a knife on it and make it a spear, you want that spear coming up higher than your eye so you don't accidentally poke your eye out with it. So generally your quarterstaffs are going to be that ear height. I like mine a little bit longer because it does give you more power and it does give you a little bit extra reach. This one here is simply made out of hemlock, but you can even find on season strips of bamboo down at your local hardware store that make really good practice staffs. If you do want to order them special online on Amazon, you can expect them to cost anywhere from 40 to 60 bucks for a piece of wood. Otherwise, this one we just cut from a long piece of dowel of hickory or hemlock. It was one of the two. Right down at Home Depot, we got to measure it and cut it ourselves. Because it's wood, it doesn't have to be as exact as if you've got a sword or a knife. It just has to be something that you can carry around with you that doesn't look like a weapon. Something that you could see lying around that you realize, oh, I've learned how to use that, and you can use it as a force multiplier. So let's talk about how you hold the staff. First of all, traditionally, the way I'm holding it right now, this is how most people hold the staff. It's like a walking stick. It's a tool. It's not just a weapon. In class, you don't really want to hold the staff like this because now if somebody asks you a question, you've just knocked out both of the guys standing next to you in line. So outside of this, the other common way to hold the staff, I point my finger up the back of the staff and then I point my finger down to the floor. Now it takes the staff and it puts it behind me, but you notice how it's still going straight up and down. So if I'm turning around, I'm not smacking anybody. The other way, and you'll see this in the staff form, is I can rest the staff over my shoulder. And you notice again, I use my finger down the staff to get it some stability, and I point my palm up, and I can very easily rest it here. Again, the key, it's straight up and down. I'm not having to use a whole lot of strength to hold it. If I'm talking to people, I'm not hitting people. Now, as you're holding it as a weapon, there's two ways to hold the staff. This one is a forward grip. This is the way you see Friar Tuck in Robin Hood fight with it. This is a very common way of doing it. There's also what we call the reverse grip, where the other hand turns over. This is more commonly used if you're using the staff from a sideways stance. Even more so if you're using it like a spear, you're going to want this reverse grip. Let's talk about how we swing this thing around. Let's take a look at the staff circles. So for this one, I'm going to take a dominant forward stance and I'm going to go ahead and grab the staff in a forward grip. I'm going to come up here a little bit closer to the camera so you can see what I'm doing. From right here, I want you to see that the closer I have my hands together, the easier it's going to be to spin the staff. As I start moving my hands out, the staff's going to move in all kinds of weird positions. You'll choke up on it, you'll choke down on it. So from here, I'm going to show you, if I'm focusing on the right hand and the staff spinning to the right side, I'm going to want my right hand to be on top. So in the beginning, all I do is I simply just let go with my left hand. I point my right thumb up, and then I just let gravity take over. And look, it's already made almost a full spin. From that position, all I do is I take my left hand, I'm going to turn the palm up, and I stick my thumb out in front of me. That thumb is going to be what stops and catches the staff. I'm going to catch the staff as soon as my thumb points down. Look, thumb to thumb. Once I've caught it, look, I can even hold it just pinched between those two fingers. All I have to do now is make a fist. And look, the staff spun the rest of the way. Now remember, I'm going to go all the way till this thumb points down. It's when the thumb points down, that's when the other hand comes involved. So now my hand is going to reach up, palm towards my opponent so they can look in the mirror, and I'm going to put my thumb out because again, it's going to be my thumb that ends up catching the staff. Once I've caught it, all I have to do is make a fist. So if you can see this all together, I rotate till the thumb points down, and then I catch it with my palm facing up. I rotate, till the thumb points down and I catch it with the palm facing up. I'm going to back up and you can see this from a distance here. So you want these to be able to go relatively fast. Let's try them to the right, starting off with the staff in front of you. I want my hands to be about shoulder width apart, then they might choke in as I get ready to go. So I'm going to start spinning it this way. 1, catch it on the bottom. 2, catch it on the top. 3, 4, 5. When you're done, come back into that forward grip. Now I'm going to spin it the opposite direction. If I'm spinning it to the left, again, same process. I just let go with my right hand. I spin it to the left and I let gravity take over. Now my left hand is going to be the one on top. So my right hand reaches under, catches it with the thumb, makes a fist. My left hand reaches up, I stick that thumb out and I catch it on the top. Leaving my left hand on top and my right hand on the bottom. Again, if I was handcuffed, I could keep doing this and still use my staff, even with my hands tied. When you're done, make sure you come back to that same grip you started from, that forward grip. Let's change our staff spinning a little bit into a downward circle. So like I was talking about with the stick, hardly ever do you want to be fighting somebody squared up like this. Most of the time you want to be turned slightly to the side. That's going to provide less targets for them to be able to strike at. So from that same idea, if I take this same circle that we were doing here, but I put it over to the side of me, what you'll notice is that now it's coming straight down like it's going to be hitting the top of my opponent's head. This would be considered an inside circle because it's on the inside of my body where I've got my arms and my legs away from myself. So follow along with me. We're going to try to do a few of these. So I'm going to start right from my forward grip. All that happens is I'm going to turn my thumb up. When it comes under, my left hand's going to grab it and it's going to rotate it around. I catch it on top, I catch it on bottom. We'll do a few of these. You want to look at a target. Right now I'm looking at the camera and I'm trying to get the staff to hit the top of the same spot on the camera each time. When you're ready to stop, you just put your front hand down and you come into the reverse grip position. Let's do that on the other side. So now as I go to the other side, I'm going to have to turn my hips and shoulders that way as well. So I'll turn my hips and shoulders, and again, it's going to be a downward circle. My left hand's going to be on top this time. So if I go with a regular forward grip and I turn to the left, my left thumb is going to turn up, it's going to turn over, and then my right hand is going to catch palm up with the thumb. Then I grab it and all I have to do is make a fist, and look, it's already starting to rotate it. So let's try a few of these. Again, I'm going to be going from this forward grip position. I'm going to turn to the left, holding with the left hand, catching with the right hand. Again, with my body turned to the side, I'm picking a target and I'm trying to get my staff to go through that same spot on the target. When you're ready to stop it, you just reach out with your hand that was on top and catch it, and you can move it back to a regular stance. If you take your downward outside circle and you combine it with a downward inside circle, you come up with a downward figure eight. So I'm going to go from holding it in my forward grip right towards the center of the staff. I'm going to step back with my left foot. I'm going to put my right foot in front of me because I'm right hand dominant. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the right hand. I'm going to turn the right hand all the way up, thumb up. I'm then going to take the top of the staff. This is the part that you want to keep track of. If you need to on this, you can even take a piece of tape and put it on the top of your staff. That'll help you keep in mind which side the top end is and help you keep it oriented. You can do this simply with just one hand holding it in the middle of the staff, and you can take the top of the staff on one side of the body, and then take the top of the staff on the other side of the body. And you see this in the movie all the time where they're doing the figure eights with just one hand. Problem with that is if you're doing it with just one hand and somebody puts their staff in the middle of it, your staff is going to go flying across the park and now you have no weapon. So it's better to be able to hold on to it with two hands. So with the two hands, I'm going to take a reverse grip. But I'm going to start the same way. I'll start with my my right thumb pointing up. And again, if you put tape on your staff, it's up here at the top. From there, all I'm going to do is turn the top of the staff down next to my right foot. It's going to circle next to the right foot, point behind me, and come right up next to my ear. I want this staff to be as close to me as possible. And then look, I just came back to the same spot I started. From there, I just repeat the same process, but I pass the top of the staff next to the other foot and back up. And look, I'm right back where I started. Try these with me. The closer you have your hands together as you get into it, the easier it's going to be. So you want your hands somewhere between shoulder width and just inside shoulder width. Starting with the top of the staff pointing up, pass it down next to your right foot. Right next to the ear, then pass the top of the staff next to your left foot, and then your ear. And then just keep repeating it. You'll notice that as I'm doing it, I'm turning my body. I turn my body over to the right when I'm spinning the staff on the right, and I turn my body back to the left when I'm spinning the staff to the left. Helps if your knees aren't straight and locked out. If your knees are bent a little bit, you're going to be able to turn and move a lot easier. Now we're going to switch into our upward circles. So from my dominant foot forward stance, this time if the stick is traveling upward, it's going to be rotating towards my left hand. I always use that to remind myself which hand's going to be on top. So I'm going from here, I'm going to lift it up. When the thumb points down, I'm going to take my other hand, I'm going to reach palm up, and I'm going to catch it with my thumb. I make my fist. I rotate it to where the thumb goes down. My other hand, the palm's going to point up. I'm going to catch with my thumb right next to the hand. Thumb down, I catch. Thumb down, I catch. Now I'm going to change that to the other side. So in this case, if I'm in my forward stance, I'm going to end up pulling that staff next to my ear. Once I pull it next to my ear and I'm lifting it up, look, it's rotating towards my right hand. That's telling me that my right hand is going to stay on top. When my thumb points down, I reach from underneath the other hand, I catch it with the thumb, make my fist. As it comes down, I reach up with my other hand, catch right next to my hand with my thumb. So if I combine the outside upward circle as well as the inside upward circle, I end up coming up with the upward figure eight. So again, going from my dominant foot forward, I'm using that reverse grip, trying to keep my hands close. It's going to come next to my ear. I'm going to do this outside upward circle first. I'm thinking about the top of the staff coming down next to my foot and then pointing back up next to my opponent. Then I'm going to point towards my opposite ear, my opposite foot, back to my opponent. Ear, foot, forward. Ear, foot, forward. Notice if I've got my feet closer, I can turn my hips and shoulders. You don't need a powerful stance for using the staff. The staff has power itself. You need something that you can use that can make the staff move faster. We have the same helicopter technique for the staff as well as for the stick. We're still going to be using this dominant foot forward stance, this aggressive spear stance. For this one, I want to make sure one is coming up next to my body. I don't want to trap it with my elbow. I want to make sure it comes up on top of my elbow. The other hand is going to be a little bit straighter, so I'm not going to have to worry about my elbow trapping it. It's just going to sit on top. So from this position, if I'm wanting to strike to the temples, I lift the staff above the head. I'm going to take the top of my staff, point behind me, and then I'm going to point over towards my opponent's ear. The bottom of the staff, I'm going to pull in and hug it tight into my armpit. This will allow me to have some extra leverage if I want to turn my hips and shoulders. That's how I'll end up striking through my target. As I go the other way, I point towards my opposite ear. I lift the staff above my head. And this time when I drop the staff, I want to pull it on top of my elbow and pull it in tight to my body. This can allow me to push with my forward hand as well as turn with my body to get some extra whip to it. Here's the one way, here's the other way. Turning the hips and the shoulders. So same thing with the stick. When you're comfortable moving the staff with your dominant side forward, you want to switch your stance and see if you can still do all those same circles from your opposite stance. Use your dominant side to train your non-dominant side. The same blocking pattern we have this with the stick also applies to the staff. For this one, we're going to start off with a forward grip instead of the reverse grip that we've been using. The motions are going to work the same. So I'm going to pull the staff in close to my body first, and then I'm going to press it away for my upward block. Notice how I'm not going again straight above my head. I don't want it slipping off and still hitting me. I want to make sure I keep that block out in front of me. Let's try 5 of these. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ki. Let's try the downward block now. It's almost the same thing. I pull it into me first, and then I'm going to push it down away from me. I want to get it down below the level of my belt. Let's try 5 of those. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ki. Now, if you'll notice me using my legs, when I did the upward block, I used the power of my legs to throw it up. When I did my downward block, I used the power of my body to drop it down. It's very important. For these next blocks, I'm going to be using the twist of my hips and my shoulders. We're going to be now thinking about, instead of the blocking surface in the middle of my staff, I'm going to be thinking about the blocking surface on the top half of my staff. So I'm going to come to my outside block, my upward outside block. So from there, I'm going to take my right side of my stick, I'm going to put it over the left side of my body. Then I'm going to push it all over to my right side. Notice how I keep it straight up and down. I want that nice straight blocking surface that's going to give me power for deflecting a blow. Let's try 5 of those. Ready? 1, bring it over to the side, press it straight. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ki. From there, I'm also going to have my upward inside block. In this case, all I have to do is turn the staff straight up, and then I'm going to press it to the other wall. Let's try 5 of those. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ki. From there, I'm going to go into my downward blocks. So I've got my downward inside block and I've got my downward outside block. Now, if you were watching me earlier, when I did my upward inside block, wasn't the bottom part of my staff also blocking? One of the nice things about the staff is it creates a really nice shield as well as a weapon. So we're going to start now. We're going to just do the downward inside block. I'm focusing on the right half of my staff still. So from this position, all I'm going to do is point it down towards my opposite foot and then push the whole staff over. Again, trying to keep it straight up and down. Let's try 5 of those. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ki. Now notice with all of these outside blocks, I'm turning my hips and shoulders. That's what's creating all of my power. Let's do the downward inside block now. From holding it in front, I'm just going to turn the right side of my staff down, and I'm going to press it over to the left side of my body. Let's try 5 of those. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ki. Then we also have our roof block, which is just going to come from this position. This is a really good one if I want to get in close and grab my opponent. I might step in and put the stick up here so I can block my head. Same thing, I want one hand planted on my chest. That's going to give a lot of stability for this shelf, for this staff to lie on. The other hand, I want to lift up high enough and even move my head out of the way so I'm looking through the space between the staff. So I'm just going to keep my right foot forward on this one. Let's go ahead and do 5 of them. From here, I'm going to push my left elbow forward. Ready? 1. Bring it back. 2. Bring it back. Notice how I'm bringing it up. I'm catching on top. 3. 4. 5. Ki. This could be a really good one if they're coming in with a big two-handed swing and you feel like you need a lot more power to be able to block that. From there, we also have our wing block, which in the form, you'll see we swing it around the back of the body and we bring it around to look through the staff on that side. In this case, I'm going to start from this position and I'm just going to flip the staff up over the top like that. Let's try 5 of these. Ready? 1. You can even catch it with your other hand here. 2. 3. 4. 5. Ki. Advantage of grabbing it with your other hand is when you're done, it makes for a really nice strike afterwards. Starting with the high block, down block, high outside, high inside, low outside, low inside, roof block, wing block. Come back to your stance. Try that again. You'll switch to your forward grip. A majority of the weapon training that we're doing at this belt is just getting you familiar with the movement of the weapon. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to combine all of the motions that you've learned with the staff and try to combine them together so that they flow. That's the one important difference between the stick versus the staff. The staff is longer and is a lot heavier. So unlike the stick, which is shorter and lighter, you can hit with the stick, whip it back, hit again from a different angle, no problem. The staff, though, because it is heavier, once it starts flowing, you want to keep that flow going. Then you can even get the staff moving faster and you can even build up more power. So for this one, we're going to combine the inside downward circle with the outside downward circle, as well as the figure 8. And we'll end up doing rotations of 3 of each of them. I'll start off nice and slow. So I'm going to use the forward grip right from the center of the staff. I'm going to be stepping back with my left foot back and my right foot's forward. Holding the staff in front of me, I'm going to put it to the side I want it to spin on, and I'm going to start spinning it. Here's 1, 2, 3. Once I finish and it's back in the right hand and it's coming back, I pass it next to my foot for 3 downward figure 8s. There's 2. Here's 3. Once I finish the third one and it's back over on the right side of my body, I'm going to change it to a downward circle with my left hand on top. There's 2. There's 3. Once I catch it again, I'm going to move it back into my figure 8s. There's 2, 3. Once it gets back on this side, I change it again to the downward circles. 1, 2, 3. Back to my figure 8s. 1, 2, 3. Outside circles. 1, 2, 3. Back to a figure 8. 1, 2, 3. Inside circle. 1, 2, 3. Figure 8. 1, 2, 3. Back to an outside circle. 1, 2, 3. When you're done, you come back to this position, and then you can change it to an upward circle. Here's 1, 2, 3. Once you finish, you come back for an upward figure 8. There's 2, there's 3. When you finish, you'll come over onto the right side and do upward circle. 2, 3. You'll catch it and right back into your figure 8. 2, 3. Back to your inside upward circle. 1, 2, 3. Back to your figure 8. 2, 3. Back to your outside circle. 1, 2, 3. Then you can even stop it and go back to a downward circle. And then a downward figure 8. And then an outside circle. And then you can stop it and change it to an upward. And then an upward figure 8. And then an upward circle. And you just keep going back through that process over and over and over again. Keep your eyes focused on one point. Don't let the staff distract you. See how fast you can get that thing spinning. One thing you'll notice is that as you're going through the beginning of your weapon training, we only ever train you from the same side forward. Every great boxer always fights from the same stance. Every great sword fighter always fights from the same stance. But there are going to be times in martial arts and real world where you're going to have to know how to fight from both stances. Maybe it's just that you have to turn really fast and you don't have time to adjust your feet. So for this, you want to make sure you've gone and practiced all these circles, not only with your right foot forward, but also practice all of them with your left side forward and get very comfortable with it. Once you are, I'm going to show you a really cool exercise you can do to combine them. First thing I'm going to point out is my feet. So remember, with our weapon, we don't have to have a really large stance. As a matter of fact, having a small stance is going to make us more mobile. It's going to make us a lot faster. So all I'm really going to be doing is going from a ready stance, maybe a little bit large of a ready stance or a narrow horse stance. And all I'm going to do is the side that I'm working, I'm going to point that foot forward. When I'm ready to move to the other side, I transition back to my ready stance, and then I just turn the other foot, and that gets me facing the other way. Very quick, and I don't have to have a lot of body momentum in changing it. I'm going to face this way so you can follow along with me. I'm going to turn my right foot forward. I'm going to hold it in my hand in a forward grip, and I'm just going to go ahead and start by going with a downward circle. Now, the one thing I want you to notice with this downward circle, if all I do is keep that momentum going and I turn my feet, look, I'm facing the other way, and it's an upward circle. I'm going to do that again. I just turn my left foot, turn my right foot. Now look, I'm back to a downward circle. The staff didn't actually change, just the direction I face changed. Now what you'll notice is regardless of how many times I do that, the staff is always moving in the same direction. So as the staff's moving that way, I can always tap it, and now I can spin the staff the other way. Now I'm doing a downward circle on the left. All I have to do is change my feet, and I'm doing an upward circle on my right. Now let's combine that footwork with the outside circle, figure 8, inside circle pattern that we were going through. I'm going to start on the right side. I'm going to face this way so you can follow along. The staff I'm going to start holding in the forward grip, and I'm going to start with the inside circles. I'm going to do 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Just like the other exercise, when I finish, I go to my figure 8. 1, 2, 3. When I finish, I go to my outside circle. 1, 2, 3. Then I go back into my figure 8. 1, 2, 3. Now this time when I come back into my circle, I can turn my feet, and look, I'm going the other way. And then I can go into my upward figure 8. 1, 2, 3. And then I go to my outside circle. 1, 2, 3. Then I go to my figure 8. Now, as I come out of my figure 8, I can even change my direction and change the circle.